Hello and welcome to another Wargamer Paint and Chat. I was going to say hangout. If you might notice, my dear counterpart is not here today. She is at home sick, and it's probably my fault. So, sorry, Flo. Miss you. Love you. Don't die. And it is up to me to entertain you for the next 90 minutes. And so instead of showing off what she's been working on and what she's painted, I actually have the Catachans I've worked on out there, my beautiful, ultra-manly, alpha Catachan mans. So they're just going to fill the screen for a little while. We've got Iron Hand Strachan in the middle, plus all of my awesome dudes who, I don't know. I haven't tried them under the FAQ rules, but I'm excited to get back to some Catachan. What's up?
So what encouraged you to put the Catachan out there?
Disembodied Voice, who is also going to be helping me with tonight's stream. I'm actually still recovering from being sick like last week, so my voice probably sounds a little bit weak, but I assure you I'm getting better. Why are the Catachan out? Well, I have finally decided to start delving into the Black Library, but instead of trying to carve out time to just read the books, I finally made myself go get an Audible subscription. So Catachan Devil is one of the new Black Library books that's out that follows the manly Catachan of the 57th Regiment or whatever. Hang on, I actually have it pulled up. Of the 57th Jungle Fighters. You follow Adelon, who's this cool Catachan, he's a colonel, and him and his squad, including his daughter, are on this jungle planet, not Catachan, to try and retake a base that was taken after some orcs came in, some sneaky gits. They are not death, are they the death skulls? Blood axes. They all sound the same. Damn orcs. So it was a really super fun read, listen to, I guess. I got to listen to that before getting super, super sick. And so it got me all hooked. So now I've actually downloaded the first book of Gaunt's Ghosts to delve into. We'll see when I can get around to that. So I don't know, maybe you'll see some superfluous book reviews because, Catachan, they get you so excited. They're so awesome. Even the orcs respect the Catachan because they're real, proper fighters, and it's just, and they're so grizzled and tough. Like everything about an 80s action film that you just want to see, I don't know, just makes me happy. So there you go. That's why my Catachans are out there. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Hello and welcome to everybody who's joined me. I hope you all are having a wonderful week and enjoying some fun hobbying time. I saw some of you already posted, Thomas, I saw your creepy, cool Ant-Man on my Facebook post already. So thank you to everyone who posts there showing the progress. So Paul, thank you so much. I don't know if you were streaming earlier or not. I tried to check Twitch and I didn't see you on there. So did you end up Oh, really? Oh, goody. Let's try that again. There we go. Did you end up pre-streaming Phasmophobia? We're talking about, getting some Phasmophobia games live streamed because there's a new patch coming out. So hopefully we'll get to do that. Regent Sid, welcome. Thomas Grable, appreciate you being here. Oh, excuse me. Akalis, love to see ya. Hey, Jeremy, how's it going? I'm going to see you in a couple of weeks. Revok, welcome. Shale, how's it going? Josh Potter, appreciate you being here as well. I lost track of the chat. Awesome. Let's see, Josh. Your little strike team looks really good. Oh, compliment from Jeremy. Why, thank you. I do love my little strike team. And while Strachan is a little underpowered in my view, at least when I last played him, I do look forward to building up all my little Catachans and getting my tanks with, I don't know. I love that you can get a little box of just GW weird plant life that you can just lay on stuff. It's I don't know how much of it breaks into loving the hobby of messing around with your miniatures to before you've broken into making a dollhouse because you want to make like this cool diorama of the jungle fighters like hidden within the camouflage of the jungle, and I don't know, like those are the things that make me so excited. Anyway, let's see. Good evening, Plunderden. Good to see you as well. Let's see. Todd, good to see you. What's good, painting people? Stephen Williams, welcome. Gaunt's Ghosts are on Catachans. I know. They're not. There's only so many books probably on Catachans, but I figured my direction into all of the Black Library will just be all through Imperial Guard, at least for now. So, and there's, 400 Gaunt's Ghost books, so it should keep me busy for a while. Thomas. It's a Fraint from Arduin, old school D&D critter. A Fraint, not an ant, but a Fraint.
Oh, what?
A Fraint.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever, that word. From Arduin, old school D&D. Hello, Chow, welcome. Let's see, Revok says, those dudes represent my gym goals, looking like a sock full of walnuts. Yeah, I streamed 4, I had some tech issues, so couldn't stand. Oh, okay. I didn't know what was going on, so I didn't do anything, so we'll try again later. The ghosts are the tenants first and only. Yes, I know. But I guess, like, for me, it's just, I'll jump into all Imperial Guard. Because, the Cadians, super respected. Obviously, the Teneth first and last, for sure, are respected. Nobody cares about the conscripts within the Imperial Guard, so there's that. Great theme, Miranda. This question is really struggle with. I hope we can discuss it a bit further. Yes. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? Are you still in Canada? He messaged me yesterday. Hi, by the way, from Aaron and Dave. Let's see. How about, hey, Bennett left off some steam. Nice. Let's see. Hi, Creepy Lobster. Okay, so yes, we had a poll question that I put out yesterday, some period of time ago. So we'll just go ahead and bring those up. So I talked about the tabletop wargaming community and what part of the hobby we enjoy. And apparently I didn't click read more, so the read more portion of that, since I'm so good at this, this live streaming thing. What aspect of tabletop miniature wargaming do you enjoy participating in the most? And out of 158 votes, most people did come out saying playing games, but everything else was a little bit more like building models and painting miniatures. Like, people probably like both of those. Those ended up being like 2 and 3. Reading the lore and list building were the smallest numbers, interestingly enough.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me.
Yeah. Aaron is still in Canada with Dave. Oh, there you go. So, yes, so playing games. Of the 158, my representative sample population here, playing games, which is probably what I would generally put in there too if it was just me being like, favorite part? Go fight, win, or go fight, lose, but go fight. It's so active and kind of final in a way. Like, you go play a game, and even if a game drags out for 2.5 hours or something like that, it's just that long, and then your game's over and you have this conversation, you can talk about it. Miniature painting, it seems like it's never ending. Like poor Flo, before she unfortunately became sick, she's been rocking painting 1 million models before Valhalla, and last I checked, she was up to 83 models completed.
She had a visit with Papa Nurgle.
I know. He came to visit me, and then he hitchhiked over to her house. Just gonna keep drinking, avoid the coughing fits. Let's see, I love me some lore. The lore is super fun. The lore is one of the elements that keeps me in a game if I am burned out of playing it. But that's kind of like that ecosystem thing I've talked about before, of keeping a healthy war game, of having to make sure you support lore, support hobbying, support the gameplay, so that a player in your IP can bounce around any given one of those if they become fatigued with some other aspect of it. So, very important. Let's see. I voted reading lore. Never paint anymore. Care less about list building. And playing a game. I have no clue what that is. Whatever. You play games all the time. Let's see. I voted building. Maybe that's why I like Gundams also. Well, and that's one of the things we were looking at talking about, Paul, was kind of like the different types of models that you build as well. So there's some comments on the poll, which I appreciate, everyone who participated in it and talked about it. So like for Plunder Den, he had mentioned crafting terrain, which I didn't have on there. So he said that's the part that he enjoys the most. And, is crafting and building terrain different than building and painting miniatures?
I think that my understanding is correct, I think Plunder Den is mostly building islands.
Well, yeah, because he's got the plunder.
Blood and Plunder.
Blood and Plunder.
That's what
thank
I was
you.
trying to remember
Yeah,
it
the
too.
game. I know. He's super in it. Yes, Blood and Plunder. So that's true. And he does build some very lovely terrain. But I can see that being exciting. Again, it goes into the diorama building.
Well, I wonder if terrain for most people is like you get a GW tank or something, and it has instructions, and you just put it together. Whereas when you build terrain, assuming you don't just, buy the terrain kit, you're kind of more free-form creating a little better, a little more so. And you can even kit bash and get real creative with models from GW as well. But I would think terrain building is just more start from scratch sort of thing for most people.
So for those in the chat who do build terrain and enjoy that, is it scratch build for you, or do you like building from kits? Do you prefer having the instructions, or is part of terrain building for you the actual process of that free form nature of it? Josh, playing the game is a cherry on top. It takes the least time and is the goal. Planning, building, then painting is the journey to the destination. Well said. That is completely right. Let's see. What would be a good place to start as a complete beginner to tabletop games? Well, so much of that, and already people in the chat are trying to help out, like is there a theme or system in particular you're looking at? The thing about any tabletop game is it needs other human beings, unless you buy Adam's tabletop game. What's the name of Adam's game again? Because he just came out with that.
It's Space Station Zero?
Yeah, Space Station Zero. That has solo play, and then cooperative play, and then competitive play. So you could do something like that, and that's a sci-fi sort of theme. But if you're wanting to actually like participate in the more traditional idea of like wargaming, you probably should find your local friendly game store and see what it is people are playing there and connect with people to play those games that are getting played, unless you're trying to specifically push one. But if you're feeling totally new to it and you just want to get an idea of it, it would probably be easiest to just go in and visit with the local meta, because most likely someone there will just let you play with some of their armies or miniatures and introduce you to the game they're playing at least, and you can see without having to even invest any of your own money yet whether or not that's something that you enjoy. Sorry for all the clearing in my throat. Yeah, question. If all your loved war games came assembled, primed, painted, and whatnot, would you still paint miniatures? I would not. Flo definitely would. You probably would.
I know that there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube for how to kind of like strip down and repaint your X-Wing.
Your X-Wing. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about that one.
And so there's that. Also, Dust, the new version of Dust that was out for a while.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing pre-painted stuff. They were doing it at all levels, actually. But
yeah, so
some of it was pre-painted.
When Dust was still out, which I still hope that someday it rises from the ashes, because it was a really fun game, you had to get the premium models. And you paid for it, but yeah, they were pretty well-painted miniatures. And so it really worked out for those who could, afford to just have stuff come in at that level, and then you just go and play the game. It really was nice. So it depends on if you prefer to have all of those models, painted and hand completed by you, or if you have a specific theme you're going for. Like, even if you look at my Catachans, there's nothing like crazy unique happening here other than me taking 80s action heroes I want to like shove in there occasionally to kind of make look like that. But they're wearing the same stuff you'd see, or they're colored largely in the same way you'd see in any of the magazines, you know, only not as pretty. Rebek, I voted painting, not the prep part though, because oftentimes the joy is in creating a little piece of art without worrying about creating an army in time for a game. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a lot more fun than like rushing the night before.
There's something exciting about the rush the night before though, like, because we've been at Adepticon before with me having a tournament the next day and like last minute getting stuff in. Like, that in and of itself has an excitement, but I think part of that is the memory of you being there with your friends doing that more than, like, because it would probably suck if you were alone doing it. It's not about where you go, but how you get there. Well, the journey, right? Rebecca, yes. Regent, kit bashing and sculpting is also extremely rewarding. Kit bashing is fun. It's that's what we did with my Grolar before that had actually come out as its own model. Kit bashing's fun because you feel like you're doing a certain amount of problem solving, like making stuff work, and you're reusing pieces, and I don't know. There is a certain creative element to it, like playing with Legos or something. Cool guys. I mean, terrain is cool, but how about that Khador tank? Dude, tanks still intimidate. So like the Khador tank, the battle wagon,
not a chariot.
not the chariot.
The party wagon. I don't know.
Oh gosh.
It's a carriage, gun carriage.
Gun carriage, thank you. Still haven't assembled it because we were going to modify it because I didn't like the idea of, I saw a war horse, and so like I don't have it in my heart to let horses pull like heavy equipment like that. It's just, I can't. And in my mind, Khador doesn't do that. So we're going to put on tank treads. It's just we haven't gotten around to it because that's the hard part, right? Now that you know, could have a kit where you go from beginning to end and everything's laid out for you. It's a lot easier. The second you're like, no, I'm gonna customize this thing. It's like the time frame just went from finite to infinite, basically, until you get like those pieces ready to go. We've had that gun carriage for years at this point. Let's see. Yes, more artillery for the motherland. Oh. That was fun the last time I played. We weren't playing with the Mark IV rules yet. It was one of the last Mark III games I was showing, but the Mortar Crew I just loved. Let's see. Recently, my terrain building has been either from kits or 3D prints. Shout out to Ollie from Liata Game Studio. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think it's Iliada.
Oh gosh. Sorry guys. Mentioned still recovering. A bunch of talking isn't the best idea. All right. Mandy, I like both pre-made terrain and homemade. Pre-made has the potential to kit bash and give it my own paint job, and homemade is just the freedom to make your own theme. Yeah, I agree. And you can just take advantage of anything. And it's not like you can't just take other pieces, especially in the 3D printing world, and add that to kits that already exist. Gosh, especially for things like gimbaling, decorations, if you have an army theme with a special coat of arms or something, like the ability to fabricate all of those and just smother them all over your tanks or your buildings or whatever. So much easier to do now. Let's see. Josh, I prefer scratch building terrain, but I'm from the old school where we didn't have kits back in the day, which wasn't all that long ago. Okay, Paul's helping out Fabian Zaka. To start off, if sci-fi based, the 2018 Kill Team by Games Workshop is good, if you can find people playing it. Like a mini Warhammer. Also, as Miranda and Tommy say, Space Station Zero by Tabletop Minions is a great shout. I mean, and I'm friends with Adam. Like, he does care about building the community a whole lot, which is why it's freaking brilliant to have a game style that has both solo and cooperative play. But I don't know. I should probably actually test that at some point. Regent, I scratch built some swamp terrain for the Scars of Cain Warmahordes event years ago on painkillers after surgery. Now that was fun. So do you remember that? Oh my gosh, I remember that event. Hey, J. Alex, popping on to say hi. Oh, thanks for popping in, man. Don't mind me just hacking up along over here. Poor Flo's homesick today. So make sure to send your love. In fact, if you're an Instagram person, you might even, oh, thank you, the best. You might even pop over to Instagram and follow The Painter Flo on Instagram. You can watch or look at all 83 models she's painted so far.
I like the cat one. It looks really realistic.
Well, yes, indeed. So you can definitely check that out because probably help her self-esteem, feel better, you know, when you wake up and you're after being sick and you've slept a while and then just see like people giving positive feedback. I bet that feels nice. So definitely recommend that. Josh, I used to customize HeroClix, so if it wasn't too thick, I'd paint right over the factory color. All right. Yeah, actually, that was one of the notes I had was models like HeroClix. I spotted Strachan in the middle there. Was that a birthday or Christmas to you? I forget. Well, I painted my Strachan. Where did I get him? I don't remember. Let's see. No, there's a new tank preview today. Oh, really? Oh, is that what I saw? I saw that there was a Primecast that came out, and I listened to it. But because I'm always doing something, I don't ever get to see the video stuff. So they'll be like, here's the new mini crates. And then they'll be like, oh, by the way. And then there's like no talking. And I'm like, well, I just missed something as I'm like driving down the road or whatever. So I should probably look at that.
See if Google has an image of it. Do a quick image search.
80 millimeters. Nice. All right, let's look it up. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is fun. Oh, Kador, 80 millimeter tank model. Any chance that that shows up on an image? Oh, that's a conversion piece. All right, I will probably have to check it out after, because I'll have to go back to the Primecast and just peek at it, which I will do. I want to be excited about these things, I promise. Still like my gun carriage with the armless jacks pulling it. No, that's brilliant too, because that makes sense. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I haven't seen the tank yet. Catachan, why I ain't seen any in shops ever. I don't know. I've usually had to order them, or I find them secondhand. Can't stay tonight. Prepping for my presentation. I'm delivering on Friday. Well, best of luck on that, J. Alex. I hope it goes really well. Mac Attack, did everyone see that Ruins of Osgiliath are available once more from GW? Oh, happy days. Ruins of Osgiliath? Oh, Osgiliath. I don't know what that is.
It's Lord of the Rings.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
They're still supporting that game? I thought that was ended.
I don't remember if they're still supporting the Lord of the Rings game still.
I thought there was like drama around it, but I don't remember. I did see the drama around the Leagues of Voltan. The entire country of Germany basically has banned it from tournaments.
That's right. Dwarves are broken.
Apparently, dwarves are broken. Well, 83 models is quite a haul. Yeah, and she was like busting those things out. She's working on, freaking Cthulhu game that we're gonna play.
Cthulhu Wars.
Cthulhu Wars. She was working on Necrons. She's working on these Ultramarines. Like, she's staying freaking busy. Let's see, 90% of terrain I build is from scratch. I love to create a fully immersive experience for my tables. It's also so rewarding to help others. Most of the terrain I build is very versatile. That is helpful. Let's see. And 3D printing has been kind of a big boon to the terrain world, I would argue. Like, I know a lot of people like it for miniatures, but of course we use FDM printers, so it doesn't make the most beautiful miniatures. It makes great terrain. There's a certain satisfaction in combing craft acrylic through fake fur. Okay.
Is that for like straw huts, like the thatched roofs?
I sent you Strachan. I didn't paint it as a left to your scheme. Was that what happened? Gosh, Paul, I'm sorry. I guess you sent it to me. Where did I get him? Thank you, Paul. I have all the money as you actually did paint for me. Aw, you just follow flow. Thank you, J. Alex. Let's see, you need a gun carriage and a colossal for my Kador. Problem is my Mark IV and more models on the way. Problem, not a problem. I love painting and building, Humble Guardsman says, but struggle with depression and lack of motivation. Do you have any advice or methods to combat that? I will say a lot of the antsiness or uncomfortableness starting something kind of goes away once you've gotten past that hump and actually do start it. Like, I always use like the gym analogy. It's so easy to put off going to the gym or going to exercise or any of that, and you're just like, you don't want to go, and you keep thinking of excuses to not have to go, whatever. And you never, ever, ever regret having gone. Except for me when I got super sick after running on the treadmill. But anyway, that's an outlier.
I would say it's an internal versus external motivation. Where external motivation's like, oh, I got to get this done. Like, I got to get these models done because I want them to look good when I take them to the game store or whatever.
Well, you kind of like reason to yourself.
Well, yeah, an internal motivation is you're excited to do it. Like, the idea of doing it is actually sounds fun to you. And so one of the things I would suggest is if there, especially if there are 40K models, is go to Luton09.
Oh my gosh.
And just peruse through like his lore videos
Any
and find
them.
some that are similar to, if not exactly what it is you're working on, and just start listening, because he's explaining the lore and has these cool images and all this stuff. And like after a while, you find yourself antsy to want to paint or just want to get those things done. And like, oh man, I really want to do this. And it seems to kind of make it more exciting. And then you have a lot of free energy. So it's not like willpower to make yourself do it. Now it's like, you just don't restrain yourself from doing it because you want to do it now.
Okay, so like Luton09 to help build up that excitement, basically.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's okay.
Kind of remember
so
why you think it's so cool.
yeah, you get into the world a little bit. That's true. Like Luton's videos, Luton09, I absolutely recommend.
He's got the good music and everything. Really starts getting you in the like immersed in it.
And he's got that lovely British accent that makes everything sound like just so much more official and like classy. It's great. So yeah, I guess so there's that. I mean, a certain element of it is at some point you just have to do the thing, right? But trying to get yourself there, yeah, I mean, just put on something to listen to, because that's a very passive thing you can do. And then you can use that to build up to, all right, take out the mini. And I usually like to break it down in stages, like maybe not, I need to paint this mini tonight. It's like, well, let me clean this mini. And then maybe I can go ahead and put it together. And then maybe I can do it, because it is in steps. And so if you break it down, then it's usually a little bit easier to kind of.
Yeah, it's easier to pick up a fully assembled and prime model
Yeah.
and just pick it up and dip a brush in some paint than it is to be like, all right, let's get started and start building it.
Mac Attack. Hello, by the way. I do a mix, although I have been 3D printing the Gleaming Shard airship from Arcane Minis. It is such a beast with 3 decks. It's taken a long time to print out. They're still supporting Lord of the Rings. Oh, okay. So they are still supporting Lord of the Rings. I don't know where I thought, I don't know. Anyway, cool. I remember, what was it, it was at Evermore last year. There was someone who had a big 3D printed pirate ship. Remember, that was in multiple tiers. Do you remember?
Was it Evermore? I thought it was.
I think it was Evermore.
It was somewhere in Utah when we were there.
Yeah. Like 3D printing is just, it's made so much stuff cool. Doom-proof treadmills, not even once. But like the example is just, you generally don't regret doing this thing because you at some point want to do it. You just sort of start talking yourself out of it because like the lazy part of you is just being lazy. So, ciao. Good luck on your journey. For me, it works only allow me to buy new models after painting all the ones I already own. Gray backlog causes me a lot of anxiety, so I avoid that. There you go. Wow, that's like rare.
Also, Plunder Den's building some North American native fortifications. Sounds kind of cool.
Wow. Let's see. Starting is a good one. You'll force yourself to start, but it gets easier. The other way is to paint a totally different race, like from Space Marines to Tyranids. Yeah, Paul's really busy with the hobbying side. I mean, not even just 40K stuff, right? Kings and Generals used to be my mini building jam. Kings and Generals? Oh, well, that sounds fun. Josh, I started a Twitch channel to help keep me motivated. Well, there you go.
So it's like having a workout buddy. So you set goals, now you're held accountable by the other people who watch you.
There's a lot to be said for that, which is actually part of being part of like a local friendly gaming club or having friends that you do make a point to meet every so often. I can't remember who it was in the chat, but the last time we were talking about like a quarterly or whatever event where everyone gets together to play games and they do a little weekend thing. And you can prepare for that because you've made that commitment.
I just noticed Regent Sid literally said what I just said, only he said it earlier.
Yes. Apologies for my tardiness. Hey, Bills. Welcome, welcome. And thank you, Paul, for linking Luton09. Definitely recommend his stuff. Josh, to some extent, it's also a way to be around like-minded hobbyists. That's true. Like, it can be the external, internal motivation. Like, if you're always on the hobby side, I can see that being burnout. But if you're never around the hobby side, it can also be a lot of effort and work to to force yourself in that sphere. Is that with like filmmaking and stuff? Oh man. Sorry. All right. Bills, my local club is having its 3-day con this weekend. There you go. With a 3D printer, it would be a nightmare to have to paint everything before printing new models, right? Humble, thank you for all the advice and support. It really made my day. This is a great stream already, and I'll be tuning in regularly. Oh, thanks. Appreciate you joining in. Well, there were some more comments, actually, from the poll, because I think I only got as far as the Plunder Den, because we were talking about building terrain using kits versus scratch built. And building terrain is a little bit maybe more universal than just building miniatures, right? Because that's usually going to be for a specific game. Oh, gosh. Whereas building terrain usually can cross multiple games. And you'll have like genre-based terrain, but there's a bunch of games that can apply to. Jason Beardsley. Oof, such a hard decision. I enjoy building, painting, and playing almost equally. I think, well, I got that response a lot where people were like, but I like them all the same amount. Which is interesting, because usually I like one more than another on any given day. Like maybe I'm just way more moody about my hobbying, because during like COVID and crap, like...
It's a what's your favorite movie kind of question.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't know,
Or
what
just
mood am I in?
Today, yeah. But I got a lot more painting done. And I didn't like it necessarily because I felt forced into it and whatever, but I started getting better at it, like reasonably better, right? Before I pawned everything off on Flow. And
Actually, it would be almost like whenever you've done a bunch of computer work, you just kind of want to work on something physical. And so then suddenly miniatures sound really good.
Or building terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just going for a walk. Well, so there's that kind of thing we've talked about a lot, like a lot of mental exertion versus physical exertion. And not to say that building terrain is a whole lot of physical exertion. You're doing stuff with your hands, but there is just something nice and unique about building something tangible, as opposed to building something in a computer, editing something, writing something. All of those things are just more mental tasks. And I think, at least in like the first world or whatever, most people end up spending more of their time doing that, being in a digital medium, in a digital sphere, and just mentally doing all the weightlifting, and very little physicality. So that kind of fills a little bit of that aspect, being able to just have that tangible miniature or building.
Well, yeah, especially when it's painted and done and you set it on the table and you just kind of look at it and you're like, yeah. It's like, I have that thing now. Didn't exist before.
All right. So many burly boys. I know, aren't they lovely? I actually painted all of those. So I'm pretty proud of my little mans there. Let's see, Real Terrain Hobbies did this massive board using amazing Tabletop Worlds resin buildings, which prompted me to follow suit. Well, I've bought almost all of their stunning buildings. Nice. Oh, I love all of the miniature buildings and stuff that are out now. What was it, like Black Scrolls games or something? Like, they have really beautiful 3D printed like buildings. They do a lot of Victorian steampunk sort of style. It's a two-way street. Always love having new people to stop in my channel so I can answer their hobby questions. It is nice. Going through a huge fantasy genre phase right now. Let's see, Regent, maybe I could use that idea to get some painting done and somehow incorporate Extra Life. There you go. So Extra Life is the charity it's a charity for multiple kinds of things, right? Like I think you could do Extra Life events for a given cause. I know PAX was super involved in that for a long time. Paul, today my favorite movie is The Thing. Yeah, and there's movies that always stay on the top 10, right? But
yeah, The Thing's a great movie.
The Thing is an
Love
awesome movie. Twitch has a charity section you can incorporate into your channel. It's pretty awesome. What? I'm gonna have to check that out. Zoldair, I prefer the hobby more than the game, which I think is pretty common.
I know I do. I agree with that a lot more. Like
Yeah.
the hobby and the lore are always
Yeah.
a little more interesting to me than the game.
Yeah.
Because the game, the hobby and the lore rarely lets me down, but rules often let me down.
And dice often let me down. You know, there's that, but it's a passive role versus an active role, I think, a little bit. And so that's where it can depend on kind of what your state of mind is, what your mood is. It's like, no. I'm going to match wits with you and play this game, and one of us is going to win and one of us is going to lose. And so you have this like active moment of just being super involved. Whereas like a miniature, you are actively painting the miniature, but it's all at your own pace. There's no competition in it, unless you're doing a painting competition or whatever. And like the lore stuff it's all like more for your own satisfaction, I suppose.
And to show off to others.
That's fair. And it can be social, but the gaming is always social, right? Because you're against someone else, and theoretically you don't hate their guts, and you are having a conversation with them. Let's see, bills. I feel like I can spend more time playing than painting. I'm doing well. Fair enough. Stream games in past, but nowadays I don't really have the time. Whew. Good job on those burly boys. Aw, thank you. I do love my chonky boys. Hey, Jake Dog. It's these older burly boys, as Bard would say. The muscularity. Understandable. My work takes me on the road. Yeah, it's easy to stay super busy. Me too. I paint, I don't play. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if even like Luton like plays a bunch of games, but he knows the lore forwards and backwards. And there's so, it's again, like to the beginning of my stream, I'd mentioned like the ecosystem you need in order to keep a war game alive. If you only focus on one single element of it, you're probably gonna have a really hard time keeping your audience, because there are people who just care about building and hobbying and building miniatures and painting miniatures for GW, for like the Games Workshop IPs. And that's like, they pay money to do that. They help support that company. And then of course you have the gamers, and that churns a lot. People coming, the game comes in and out of their life. People will skip editions. People will get burned out. There's new players that come in. It's very, very churny. But they bring in money too, because they're buying miniatures and they're getting into, and they're paying to go to tournaments, and they're helping keep the game relevant. Then you have the lore side, where people are reading books about it. Theoretically, they're paying for those books and talking about it and keeping that lore alive. Like, those games exist because people keep them relevant.
There's a guy I've watched on YouTube from time to time who builds scratch-built orc vehicles, and he's never played a game of 40K ever, and he just builds those for other people.
Oh, for others.
Yeah, because he just really likes making the cool orky, hammered together, scratch-built like vehicles. It's just kind of neat. Orcs
are really fun. They kind of capture your imagination. In the Catachan Devil, like following, what was his name? Nogrock. In the story, it is just fun hearing like the orcs interact with each other, debating the difference between heaps of things and loads of things, and just not really being good at any particular thing, but maybe being slightly more sneaky or slightly more clever in a way. And so they're really excited about that. And you're just like, it's like if toddlers had, were capable in war.
Just muscular, murderous toddlers.
Yeah. It's freaking hilarious to read the lore of orcs. They are hilarious, and so I'm glad that they kind of have generally kept that into the gameplay of the orcs as well. Let's see. Oh, got a bunch of stuff here. My painting comes in spurts. Lots done in a short time, then nothing for a month or so. I hope poor Flo doesn't feel that way. She's trying to get a bunch done for Valhalla, so she has a very set goal. She's probably gonna have easily 100 models before then. Let's see. I started as a solo painter, but with the rise of smaller skirmish games, I got into the gaming side. There's that. I mean, because you can sit and hobby for a very long time before you have enough miniatures to play a full 1,500 point game of Warhammer, right? Or of 40K. So, that being a place to start is probably way cheaper. Mac Attack, I have tremendous love of the hobby. I also thoroughly enjoy playing the games. If anything, I would say the hobby takes a slight edge just because it scratches that creative itch. So creative itch. I don't know how creative I feel like I approach the hobbying side. When I sit there and paint, I'm like, I'm gonna do Phoenix, Simon Phoenix from Demolition Man as one of my Catachan dudes. How creative is that? I'm just copying something. I'm just kind of having a laugh about it in a way. So it's not the same as, Flo took one of the Necrons that she was painting.
In fact, here he comes on the turntable.
There he is. Whereas Flo will, she's working, we got her models for Harlequins, so I'm so excited to see what she does with that. But even just with the stuff she's doing on the Necrons, she took one of the, can't remember which model, but one with the long flowy, like, tails of fabric or whatever. She's like freeform painting runes and icons and stuff on there. And it's like, well, that's definitely a lot of skill. It was more effort than I was going to put in. So it's like you have the option to be creative. And I wonder if it's like it can be genuinely creative when people are, you're doing scratch building, or you add some cool niche-ier models, or you have your own individualized chapter of Space Marines. But I also wonder if it's like hobby adjacent enough to make people who might not feel like they're usually very creative be a little bit. Like you get the feeling of having been creative by painting models, even if you're just following like the same exact paint scheme as what you saw in a magazine, but and so it's more like technique based, but you did it, and so that feels good. And so I wonder if like when it comes to creative itch, like it's like you're not necessarily creating something if you're, unless you're doing something new there. But I know what you mean. Like it has. Zoldair, rules are oof. I've taken a long break from stuff. I don't know why that camera likes to just get with conversions. But now the rules seem just bad. So many extra books and errata and stuff. Why are you doing that? Stop being a jerk, camera. I mentioned we need to replace that. Let's see here. I mean, if I asked 100 40K players which edition of 40K was the best, I'm probably going to get 10 different answers because everyone has their favorite edition. And the game always tends toward rule bloat. It always has. The nature of the codexes just cause that, codex creep. Other games deal with model bloat. It's just kind of it's the nature of it. And this goes into a little bit of another deep dive that we may do later on, because we were just, you'd sent me a video on MMO design, but it really, really translates well to war games.
Oh, the Josh Strife Hayes video.
Yeah. Josh Strife Hayes came out with a video about MMOs, and he talked about like vertical development to appeal to the player base versus horizontal development. And it just has to do with do you put out more and more powerful stuff and make old stuff less relevant to keep people constantly chasing the new thing? Do you do more horizontal stuff where you have just different things that may or may not be more powerful because they're situational? And how do you build a player base that can maintain, and how do you balance that in the long term? And so much of it seems like it applies to war games because, everybody's come out with, just about everyone's come out with a new edition of their game if it lasts long enough. And that's because of the same types of problems of having to churn stuff. And so it's like, I'm convinced there is a magic formula to that of sorts. And I don't know if anyone's landed it yet. Like, I always reference Battletech because it's like, what, you need to put out new stuff all the time? Said Battletech laughing. But I haven't played it enough or at all to really talk about it. So as far as rules go, like, that's going to be a taste thing for people. And it's even a taste at the time, right? Like, I'll put up with whatever rule set because my friends are playing the game, or I get to be in this tournament because I'm going to go, I'm just going to be in that tournament at Adepticon, so I'll just deal with whatever the rules are because I want the experience of having gone and done it more than the experience of playing those rules. It's sort of where we all make our choices.
Your camera focus is drifting around.
Why does this thing do these things to me? Oh my gosh.
Because I think when you deactivate it, it turns that off.
It doesn't. Look, it says right there, auto is not on. But then I have to turn it on so that I can turn it back on. Never use a webcam, guys, whenever you actually like get to proper streaming setups. Like, just they're all terrible. Maybe that's a little better.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, appreciate that. Got chat to keep up with. Let's see. It looks fun. Just a lot of rules, but the communities are great. So much lore, and communities really make or break. See every week or however often you get to a game store. Let's see. For the people that would rather paint than play, were you painting miniatures before getting into war games?
That actually leads into one of the questions that we were talking about earlier about how it's more, I'm trying to think of the word for it, but where it's more encouraging. I don't know, to like if you just assemble, I don't know, like a Tiger tank from World War II and you paint it and set it on your desk, you're like, yep, I sure did that. And it's pretty cool. But then whenever you paint like a Lehman Russ, you're like, okay, that's part of an army and I can use it for stuff. It's like, it seems like it's a different feel.
Well, yeah, so Paul's been getting into like the Gundam series. He's been super, super into that. But as far as I know, there's not like a game you play with those Gundams. You just build the model kits and then you have the satisfaction of having built the model kit. And they're cool. There's a lot of really cool model kits, especially when you're dealing with like neat scales of stuff. But I mean, I'll pose it to Paul because he's been doing it. You've painted stuff for like your Kill Team games, and then you've painted or assembled and made the Gundams. Like, do you find one satisfying in a different way, or how does that level out for you, Paul, or anybody else who that would apply to for people who've built models for a game and people who've just built models to have the models? Zoltaire, converting, painting, and making terrain is as good as ever. Making my fantasy train set. Oh, I love trains. Actually, that's still one of the boards that I'd love to do for a War Machine board, is like a cool rail yard.
Technically, we have done a train set for War Machine.
Yes.
It was made out of cats and candy canes, I think.
It was. So yes, my Company of Iron game. Mac Attack, it seems I'm always the GM for RPGs, so I will take the time to play certain computer games. Lately, Cyberpunk 2077, especially since the last two updates, although Witcher 3 and Skyrim still call to me. Video games. Well, I admittedly have been dragged back into the World of Warcraft because the Wrath of the Lich King is coming out. And so I've made my Death Knight. And so, yeah, video games. It's one of those things because it's like, and I grew up playing video games and like, oh yeah, it's so fun being good at video games or whatever. It's different than hobbying because at the end of the day, you have put a bunch of hours into a video game, or maybe a video game character that could be deleted or gone in a moment. It's just digital. It's not the same as having, your sexy Catachan mans forever and always. Let's see, my last game of 40K was in 1994. Gosh, Paul.
So second edition.
Yeah. Josh, let's see, Chow. Maybe that's my issue. I've only started painting to play. Maybe that's why I'm way more on the gaming side. Yeah, for sure. See you, Jake Dog. Have a great night. So, not since the actual squats were in the game. See, I'm also more introverted, so painting suits. No patience for cheating and things, which my main memory of playing actively many years ago. Which is my main memory. Oh, people cheating? Oh, that's a horrible experience. That shouldn't be representative of what that's like, though. Makes me sad. It's one of the things I love about Valhalla, actually, whenever it comes around, right? Because none of it's competitive play. Now, Chris, who brings our terrain boards, had created a pretty brilliant system of kind of territory campaign battles, where you're like, I don't know, I'll go fight you here, and I get to control this territory or whatever here. But there's not points or prizes or anything. You're just playing for the joy of playing the game, and it encourages people to bring all of their fluffy lists and things that they've just wanted to try. And there's no, because there's no real like competitive need to win, other than just like you're wanting to win. We haven't really seen cheating at all happen, and so I'm one, very grateful for that, but also it does seem like it is a much healthier way to enjoy the game. Like, competitive play is totally legit and has its value, and there's no excuse for cheating in any scenario, but it's like getting to play in just a non-competitive casual way of playing the game also helps keep the enjoyment of that game alive to do more of the competitive stuff, I think. Bills, I just posted an old first edition 40K to your Facebook page. Ooh, okay. Mandy, trying to imagine Simon Felix as a Catachan is creative. He would be right at home. Right? No, I loved it. Let's see. Not to mention the adult toddlers who rage when they don't win. So there's that, but those theoretically select out, I think, if you have...
Sometimes.
I mean, there is that. It's not like in painting competitions you don't see the raging either. It's just whenever... It's one of the things I had to learn, actually, whenever I was really going to be into playing war games, right? Like, getting in and competitively playing against anyone else is just understanding that losing is part of playing, and losing a game isn't a reflection of how intelligent you are as a human, which it feels like sometimes, and that's the raging, right? Because I've had the responses of like, I shouldn't be losing to you, kind of thing. I was like, okay, wow.
While also realizing that dice are random and can affect the outcome of your game.
Which is why it's important for something like a war game, which is why I think psychology rules are important in a war game, why I think pre-measuring is probably not as helpful in a war game, depending on the type of game, because there's chaos. It's how you handle the chaos of it. It's not how you handle these finely tuned exact figures that never do unpredictable things. That's not representative of war at all. And I don't know, that's a whole other soapbox that I have, and I know you guys have heard me go on about that before. But yes, so.
But it's supposed to be about reacting to like things you didn't expect, and just kind of enjoying the challenge of doing that.
Yes.
Whereas if you just get mad when it doesn't go your way, then that'll build up. And if something in a game doesn't go your way a few times, or especially in a clutch moment where you put forth a lot of effort and planning to get something to land just right, and then nothing hits its target, then a lot of people will get upset at that, and it's just, you shouldn't. Dice are random. So it's the whole idea is that you got all this, it didn't work out, all right, now what?
Yeah.
But
it is a step that not everyone gets past. And I don't even know if everybody has that experience. I'm sure there's plenty of better adjusted people than me who go in, they're like, no, I've always understood it's just a game, and I've never let it bother me. It bothered me for a while. Like, I had to mentally go, this isn't representative of my like value as a person. Like, just play the game and enjoy the thrill of the mental exercise of it, which really is like the magic of playing those games.
Yeah, you never want to see Miranda play Warcraft Arenas.
I had a friend stop talking to me over that. I was a horrible loser. So wargaming helped me get through that. I still don't do Warcraft arenas, though, because they are bullshit. Although, I don't know, I have a death knight now. Maybe it's not so bad.
It just taught you patience.
Well, there's a certain amount of, like... I mean, I can't help but call it anything other than growing up. Because it is a childish thing to just be a sore loser and pout and be bitchy about, like, things not going your way. That is immature. It is childish. It just is. So it's like, but not everyone grows past that, and I might have been more of an adult when I got past mine. So I can speak to that, okay? So Paul, to add, I was into 40K in the 90s, only got back into the hobby in 2016, found Uncle Adam's channel, Same day, I saw him do an interview with me. So that would have been with me and Dan at Adepticon. How funny. But yeah, the creative itch is itchy. Fair. Josh, Kautinho? Different strokes for different folks. It's okay to like playing more than painting. If you start feeling stale, you might consider doing conversions. I suggest Dave Taylor's. Ben, going back to running, walking, stretching, do you not feel better mentally, physically, and it does not make tasks easier? I'm confused.
And does it not make tasks easier?
Oh, does it not make tasks easier?
Yeah, which is true. Like, just getting up and stretching and walking in general is always good, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to remember that you are indeed a physical, organic being that exists in a reality. And so as much as we like to live in our own head, if you only ever foster that and neglect the other part of yourself, you're not doing a service to yourself. So yes, like I think there's very important reasons to balance your mental nurturing, your physical nurturing, and all of that. Book Armies, Legions, and Hordes. Huh. Yep, mine is second due to I started there. Second, totally second.
Second edition.
Yeah. The folks are allowed to have bad opinions.
So they all started in the 90s.
Is everybody saying that was the best edition? Is that what this is a response to?
Well, I think it's like how everyone who played back then kind of loves the D&D that had Thaco, but it's not great.
Yeah.
But there's something just kind of,
there's a charm
it.
to the flaws in a way, like.
Yeah.
And it's hard to quantify that because it's even hard to justify that. It's like, but it's a bad game design. How can you justify that? How are you supposed to grow? And like, what's the goal of the game and all that? But it's like, no, because it's like what you're introduced to at that point in your life with those friends, and you have these stories, because everyone has hilarious ass D&D stories, right? Like from just whatever silly situation came up. And so you remember it fondly, even if it had flaws. I don't know, it's probably not unlike having just people in your life that are flawed, but you don't hate them for it. Let's see, yeah, sure, I don't hate painting. I just wish it took me way less time. I've painted a bit of terrain, never made any conversions yet. And I do appreciate that there are, like Army Painter and the new Citadel paints. They have like the speed painting stuff. Like there are attempts to try and shore up painting or hobbying time for people who might just feel more inclined to get through it than to really indulge in it. Flo! Hey guys, sorry, I'm too sick to be there today. It's okay, I'm trying to get everyone to go to your Instagram and follow you and heart your images because you've been working on so many models. It's 83, that's how many you've gotten so far, right? Poor Flo. Also, I'm sorry. Let's see, there's a lot of tricks to painting in order to cut corners. Check out Vince Ventrela's hobby cheating videos. Yeah, there you go. Enjoy Grandfather Nurgle's blessings while you can. Hopefully he leaves you with no gifts. Zoldair, I've been playing Dungeon Bowl, which is my level of games for fun. Even losing is hilarious. And rules in a box, one and done. But you can do Proxy Madness to customize your team's theme at all. Oh yeah, that seems great.
No, it seems like whenever, like what he's talking about is almost like when you play a Cthulhu game. Like nobody's ever like angry when they lose in the Cthulhu games because everyone understands, oh no, you just typically lose, and then it's kind of funny.
Yeah, maybe it just sets the expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for setting the expectation. Josh, in fact, there are rules for Gundam. There you go. Humble Guardsman, turn the Gundams into orc mechs. I don't know if that would look right.
Yeah, looted Gundams.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see, I have a vehicle for Star Wars Legion, which has full interior. I plan on not gluing the top so I can show it off when I use it. Oh, that's awesome. I want to play a Death Newt. It's really awesome. I love my little Death Knight. Let's see, oh, not literally a fantasy train set. I mean like making stuff for no gaming purpose, like a model railway. Oh, fair enough. Bill, sometimes the high point of a war game is when the dice utterly fail a player and we all get a good laugh. Yeah. And you have those people who always have the dice fail them. Yeah.
Do you know any of those people?
And the worst 500-point game against DJ was against his Necrons. It was my, I guess it was my Catachan army. No, I was playing the Ultramarines. And admittedly, like, I go into this knowing I am derping it up because I don't have the codex for the Adeptus Astartes Ultramarines. And so I'm like, here's the basic rules, here's what I know, and like, womping through it. And he's actually read like his stuff. And so he has this like portaling ability that just puts like a bunch of waters the whole unit, takes out my warlord. And I have these abilities to, I have the ability to let my warlord fight one more time before he dies. And like, I whiff so many of the rolls. Like, I kill a couple of his dudes. He reanimation protocols like all of them back. It was a mess. And I was just like, this is the worst day for the Adeptus Astartes. But I mean, you're right. You just have a good laugh about it at that point because you're like, okay, like that's happening, I guess. And it's like, are you gonna be mad that you didn't roll dice better? Like, come on. Dice myths, dice shaming, and all that are things I've always enjoyed. Let's see, I've always enjoyed to see what people come up with. Dice myths. Oh yeah, no, I would get all superstitious about dice, like the way you keep them. If
you have to store them with the sixes facing up so that they align.
You could try that. It's like a horseshoe, right? Like you gotta keep a horseshoe this the right angle to catch good luck, otherwise it loses good luck. Superstitions are funny
or
things.
Occasionally you set your dice out and then take a hammer and destroy one in front of the others so that they understand the the consequences of failure.
I'm not as angry about dice as I used to be, but yes. Or like if you roll a 1, you're like, I'm not rolling that same die again for the reroll. I gotta do stuff like that. But I mean, I recognize it's just like silly, superstitious stuff. Because while there might be like technically a physics calculation for how that roll went that way, it's not something I know. It's not like any of the things I'm doing are having a mathematically measured effect on it. Let's see. Let's see. Any recommendations to find Gundam models to make? Yes, Paul is the best person to ask for that right now because he is all about the Gundams right now and finding some cool stuff. Floco, sore losers are terrible always. Yes, they are. But it's like, if you are a sore loser, you need to go play a bunch of games until you break that habit because it's not good for you. It's not good for anyone else. It's something you need to jank decks and magic, silly trials for fun, good times. I'd rather lose a fun game than a boring combative victory. Yeah, and the only thing I would say to that is that your opponent be on the same page because it sucks when you're like, oh yeah, I'm coming in with my cool fluffy list, I want to try out this caster, and then somebody's like, oh, okay, and they immediately like list hammer something that like perfectly just shuts everything down. Like, don't be that player either because that's really unpleasant. Oh, look at you doing that thing again. Why is this camera so crappy?
Yeah, you may just leave it. All the glitchiness, it just fits into the lore, right? It's the way that we'll say it's a post effect. We put it on purpose.
Oh, I see. I guess we have to justify that now. Okay, fine. I'll leave it. Lose a fun game. Risks of dice rolls with sound tactics and being flexible to a fluid tactical environment. Yes, and I think game design for war games should leave leeway for the players to fill in the gaps and do that, which is and things that, you're quote unquote an idiot for not taking in that list, or that list is trash because you did this thing. Like, stifles imagination. And I think imagination is important, and oftentimes, like, the of a war game, because you can have creative strategies and do this weird thing that someone didn't expect because you saw an opportunity that they didn't. That is really fun stuff. That's the stuff that always gets me excited about games. Rage at Losing reminds me of the Penny Arcade comic. His opponent. That's so real.
Yeah, I noticed the list building was not real high up on your poll. It makes me feel like there aren't as many War Machine players that answered that poll as normal. Because I swear that might be.
It's fun post-game, but
Like, I would argue every War Machine player has created more lists than they've ever played.
that's probably easy to do. Yeah, easily. Spaz Tech, I miss the psychology. I miss standards musician. Okay.
There we go. We agree.
Okay. See, like, there's an opportunity here. Like, that is a hole in the market right now. Lost where I was in the comment. Okay, there we go. Sorry. All right, so Zolder, yeah, games with dice is about trying to minimize risks. Chess is for cerebral XYZ. Mm-hmm. Well, and chess is such a game of memory. And War Machine ended up becoming a really strong game of memory with some chaos of dice. But it's part of where you got players who would feel, let's say, because they felt they mathematically cornered winning. And it just, that should never, if that's what a war game actually allows you to do, you failed to make a right game, because there's no guarantees. There should never be any guarantees. Always thought I was a very mature and balanced person until I lost my score in Desert Hydra on my first match of Warmahordes. The rage is real, right? grade RX-78 is the best start. There you go. That's your Gundam start. Spaz-Tech, it's only bad in retrospect. At the time, it was the thing and everyone was doing it. All of my D&D stories are from Valhalla. Oh, 84 miniatures. I was underselling more Miss Flo there. Oh, second was terrible as a tournament or serious game. But for fluff, it was fun and lets you go wild. There you go. And I still have 52 more Necrons to go. Eek! Mr. Waitson, welcome, welcome. Let's see here. Let's see, does the mic keep cutting or is my sound broken? Or is mic cutting?
No, although you did, it did go silent again for a second, but I restarted the sound card, so it should be fine now.
Yeah, I've got an actual tech guy watching that stuff now so that we don't run into those same issues.
I don't know, this soundboard's being questionable.
Oh, really? Might have to replace that. Oh, goody. Put them in the microwave and make the others watch. Yeah, Flo said no sound as well. But I think we have sound again, from what I can see. We good? We good?
We're good.
I'm
I can hear it on here.
Okay, good. Let's see. I made a tiny one about 20 years ago, if you've seen the short versions. Maybe time for the big boy version. In the second edition game, the Space Marine Predator got blown up, flipped over, landed 6 inches away, and landed on the tech priest, killing him. I mean, that's kind of awesome. Let's see. Playing with Midjourney while hanging on the stream, posting some of the better results to Facebook for the stream. Oh, thank you. Hey, Patty's Parlor, welcome. All dice are cursed because they will one day fail you. That's a terrible outlook to have. Okay, so I'm not needing to troubleshoot my stuff. Let's see. Yeah, no, it was the audio was on my side.
So for what it's worth, I was muting it when she was coughing multiple times, just so you wouldn't have to sit there and listen to her cough.
Yeah. It is fun to theorycraft. I agree. All right, looks like I got to donate to get her a better mic. No, we've got a good mic. It's the soundboard. We're just going to have to mix that.
No, this is the third time we've done it where I think it's the USB, the breakout board.
Oh, okay.
Because if you just turn it off and back on, then all of a sudden the sound works again. And it's like, cool. That was...
Should we just go ahead and start wrapping then, probably? Let me get this.
Yeah, I mean, we have about 8 minutes anyway. But, I mean, we're doing well now. But it's just...
Sorry, guys.
I've noticed this board has done this a couple of times.
I'm trying not to spend a prohibitive amount of money on getting, like, this little stream station working. And it's been a decent penny as it is, and it seems like things still want to go wrong. So
might just be a little weird on the board. Although it doesn't help that our webcam is dying, I think.
It's only the best around here.
Spare no expense.
Spare no expense. Rummaging through dumpsters for things. Oh my gosh.
Hey, the free microphone we got's working great though.
That's true. Sorry guys. Let's see. Still no sound? Okay, yeah, I guess you're watching it. People are still saying there's no sound though. Yeah, I had to leave and come back. Oh, okay. That's weird.
Yeah, I was going to say I can hear it.
Check the cables. They might be broken too. Oh, sure.
No, the cables are good. It really is just this. It's a Behringer Euphoria USB. What is it, 8-channel box? But it should be a really nice thing. It's one of the newer pieces we got, but it doesn't seem to be very reliable.
Final comment on the poll, by the way, was from Andrew, because Josh Potter had kind of reiterated like its tie between building, painting, and playing, because he likes them all. And he did also reference David Taylor, as he did in the chat. He has a show called Build, Paint, Play. So I don't know what that is, but it sounds fun. But then Andrew Fairbanks also had the comment of, where's buying boxes I'll probably never get to, because that's it for me. So I did fail to put hoarding on there as an option in the poll. So I apologize for that.
I feel like hoarding would have won.
I know. It's so easy to do because you can be on like a really good hobby, you know, having your hobby mojo, and then you get sick or you go on vacation or you do something. And it sits there, and getting back to it is more effort than just continuing doing it. But then you like still get stuff because game companies are coming out with beautiful models all the time. And you're like, well, I want to get it now. I don't want to forget about it, or it's a limited run or whatever. It's all designed to keep you buying stuff. So it's really, really easy to hoard. I mean, I'm super impressed with anybody in the chat who actually gets their stuff painted before buying new minis. Like the willpower and discipline there is so impressive. See, a local game club was selling a shirt that bore the slogan, "It's not hoarding if your stuff is cool."
True fact.
I love that. Well, the idea of having an army is often more fun than actually painting them. Just call it collecting. There you go. Collecting, hoarding. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like where we are. I don't know, how much did we actually talk about the different aspects of wargaming? I mean, the building, painting versus the playing. Like, I think a lot of people in the chat, like there were a few that went into playing, but it sounded like it was mostly the building and painting stuff, which building terrain and building the miniatures are different. And the painting stuff was pretty popular.
But it's kind of the hobby side of wargaming versus the playing side of wargaming. It's like which one do you enjoy more, and sort of which aspect of it do you enjoy? Because if you add up, the poll looked like playing pulled ahead, but if you add up painting, building, you know, stuff like that, like the other ones, it probably is still bigger than
probably
just
edges
playing.
out in overall, just because you can split the hobbying, because playing is just playing.
Yeah,
and the hobbying stuff is painting and building and terrain building or whatever. Yeah, that's fair. There's just more aspects of it.
I don't know, is list building playing or hobbying? It's more playing than hobbying, right?
It is more in the playing
So maybe you'd
sphere.
add that to playing, and then the other one's to hobbying. Because even lore is hobby, I think, right?
Well, I would say lore is hobby. Oof. Here we go. Thomas Grable, quote, "I won't buy minis until I've painted the ones I already have. This and other apocryphal myths that we shall explore on Gaming Tonight." I think it was a tabletop Inquirer or something. There's like a Twitter that posts like parody wargaming stuff. I love what they put out. It's stuff like that. List building is metagaming by the non-D&D definition.
There you go, gaming and metagaming.
Okay.
Versus the hobbying.
Okay, gaming. Okay, there you go. That is an excellent, concise way of putting it. So, I guess we should start wrapping things up. Where did everyone end up? I don't know what everyone was hobbying and doing tonight, and I didn't ask for any progress checks because I was just reading comments and mouthing off and coughing and dealing with sound issues apparently. So, obviously, you're welcome to, if you are on Facebook, you can post what you painted or worked on or anything you want to share to my Facebook, and you can just reply to my comment about tonight's live stream, so you can show me what you worked on. I always love seeing what it is you guys have done, because you guys do beautiful work, and it's inspiring, actually. It's really nice, and so, you know, help support the little community we've got here chatting, and I don't know, I hope you enjoyed the topic tonight. Like, it's mostly just sharing like what we all do ourselves, but it's kind of fun to see, you know, what we do compared to other people. Let's see, no hobbying tonight. I was working on a writing test for a job application. Fair enough. Thank you, Chow. So you got a bit more non-metallic metal done with Karchev and Deathjack. Oh, these are like so good. Flo, I spent my time trying not to die. I think I've been successful so far. Well, good. I did say at the beginning of the stream, please don't die. Very important to me that you don't.
Although I'm not sure, she says she's not sure if she's been successful so far.
She says, I think I've been. That's pretty confident. Let's see, I was working on my Scorn Carax today. Woo! I worked on a code base, a code base. Oh, wow. That sounds mental, like mentally taxing. Regent, I worked on, Nathaniel primed some terrain pieces last week. Not much progress since then. It happens. Next time is 2 weeks. Same bat time, same bat channel. The day before we leave for Utah as well will be our next live stream. So, I know. So I might be a little bit of a basket case. I'm always like way high stress right before. Let's see, made some cool images. I got a lot of prep work done for season 2 of the Battletech campaign I run for my FLGS. Ah, love it. Tomorrow we'll start on my first Riot Quest figure. Excellent, Bills. Let's see, where can I put photos? I didn't know there was a place to do it. So if you're on Facebook, you can go to the Wargamer Girl Facebook, and there's a post of me advertising tonight's live stream. And so people just reply in the comments there with what they worked on tonight. And that way we kind of have a sense of what all happened that evening and, can say what's up. Let's see, I think you got me early. So, yeah, I think that about wraps us up. Sorry for the technical difficulties again. We're slowly getting through these, but...
Well, this board is kind of cut out the last 3 shows, I think. And it is a new board, so...
Is it? Well, I'm going to have to check that warranty, I guess. So... Thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight, and I really appreciate everyone's participation in the discussion. I'll try to think of something, equally cerebral to discuss in the next 2 weeks, and try to keep up with the polls, because those are really fun. I love getting a pulse on what you guys are, what your thoughts are on stuff. So happy hobbying. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and hopefully see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a great night.